And I look forward to having fruitful conversations around our investment and every other possible learnings that we intend to have on this call. Just to give a brief of who we are as a group, professional group. MPG is one of its kind, a professional organizations where everyone has to feel among, learn, and also be more inspired about what we want to do in life. And a quick brief about who we are. We're actually driven by an unwavering passion for community building and lifelong learning. This is the sole reasons why everyone is currently at MPG, because it's a space where we bring together Nigerians and Africans in the diaspora for us to foster growth of emerging leaders and guide them through encounters with the most transformative individuals and groundbreaking ideas. Our unwavering dedication is rooted in a single mission, which is very bold and clear, which is to leave an enduring impact and redefine our collective narrative. And this also helps us to ensure that we are also empowering various Nigerian professionals in the diaspora to evolve into leaders that they are built for through various promotions of self-awareness and personal growth. And definitely our visions is to build a collaborative community of Nigerians in diaspora, developing members to become global leaders, as the case may be. Please permit me to give a brief of what today's event is all about, which is to be able to have various conversations around investment. And I really welcome everyone to this occasion because it's a pleasure to see many of you which are here, and we are all ready to take a significant step into transforming our financial future. Into this fast-paced world where economic landscapes definitely is growing, our personal finances needs to keep evolving and needs to keep changing. And so it is essential for us to build a robust financial foundation while seeking opportunities for growth. That is exactly why we've brought various guest speakers to give us much more insight about how to navigate into protective measures like insurance, dynamic investment strategies to secure and enhance our financial being. With that being said, permit me to introduce our moderator for today, Oreoluwa Ayodele, to take it from prayer. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, again. Just like Babatunde said, my name is Oreoluwa, and I'm very happy and thrilled to be your moderator for this event today. Just before we get right into the thick of things, I would run a quick overview of our invited guests, our panelists, our speakers for today's event, and please come with me as we do that. So our esteemed panelists, we have Omama. As you can see, she's already in the house. Was a bit of an issue. She was going to be able to make it today, but we're happy that she was able to make it. And so here we go. Omama brings over 2 decades of invaluable experience in guiding clients through their financial journeys, specializing in areas such as college funding, retirement planning, managing costs for extended care, and crafting strategies for lifetime income. Omama will be sharing her insight with us today on how to diversify and strengthen our financial portfolios. A comprehensive approach to financial planning ensures that every client is well equipped to meet their financial goals. Omama, thank you again for joining us today. Now, our second speaker we have for today would be Patience Noah. Patience Noah has dedicated a career to supporting small businesses and families, helping them navigate the uncertainties of life with tailored insurance solutions. With expertise in general liability, commercial auto, professional liability, and workers' compensation, Patience extends her services to personal insurance needs, including automobile, home, and life insurance. Patience stands out by educating her clients about their insurance policies, advocating on their behalf, and personalizing their coverages to suit their unique needs while negotiating the best prices. Again, she's licensed in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Patience's commitment to her clients' best interests makes her a trusted advisor in businesses, life, auto, and home insurance. Patience, you're very much welcome, and we're glad to have your presence with us today. Last but not the least, we have Femi Ojikutu. Femi Ojikutu is a distinguished specialist in tax-free retirement planning, investment, and generational wealth transfer strategies. FEMI focuses on establishing robust and resilient financial foundations for individuals and families, ensuring they are well protected against economic fluctuations. FEMI's expertise lies in creating financial platforms that not only secure a prosperous future for its clients, but also pave the way for a lasting legacy for coming generations. Thank you again, FEMI, for joining us, and we're happy to have all of you, our panelists, here with us today. And of course, thank you to all our people joining in, dialing from different parts of the world as we go through today's webinar on protecting our investment, growing and protecting our investment. So we have some questions for our panelists. And just before we go into the panelist session, I would like to say at this point that we're going to run through, this is the way it's going to run. We're going to run through the panelist session. And after that, we're going to open the floor to everybody participating to ask specific questions they want to ask. And then we'll then, leave the floor to our panelists to address each of those questions. And then we'll have our closing remarks. Again, some of our panelists have already dropped their LinkedIn in the chat section. So please do well to please follow them on LinkedIn and reach out to them again after this session. So thank you, everyone, and you're welcome to today's session. Now, let's dive right in. We're going to be inviting Omama. Omama, again, thank you for joining us. We know it was a bit difficult due to some things that came up afterwards to join us. We're happy that you were able to join us. So we'll be inviting Omama to come up now and give us our keynote address in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll dive right into the panelist sessions.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Awesome. First of all, I want to apologize for the loud noise. We're still in DC, and so we just couldn't find a spot, so I apologize. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. My uncle passed away yesterday. Funeral will be tomorrow, but I didn't want to bail on you guys, especially since we have all these awesome people coming in. So my first question that, everyone is here, you decided to join because you're interested in making and maintaining your money, making sure that your money's growing for you. Let's be honest, money is as close as or as important as breathing, right? We can't do anything in this life without money. That is the tool that society has decided to, utilize. If we all of a sudden decide that we are going to exchange leaves, then we will be exchanging leaves, which money is leaves, it's paper, right? But it's a matter of making sure that your money is working for you. There will be a follow-up that I will be sending to the group. The reason why I didn't send it is because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it and stuff. But talking about how do you diversify your portfolio, raise of hands. I know that most of you all have your video off, but raise of hands if you could put it on. Who here is from the state of Massachusetts? I just want to see a raise of hands. Who here is from the state of Massachusetts? Okay, you. So I'm not sure if people are aware, but there's a few different rules and regulations that are changing from come January 2026. And so when we're talking about investing and we're talking about how do you diversify your portfolio, you need to first and foremost know what are the rules that are happening regarding your finances and how does that impact you, and especially when it comes to investing. The first thing that I'm going to ask everyone to do is to actually write down your goals. So when you write down your goals, it will tell you how you can dictate and maneuver where your portfolio should be aligned. Your goals should be put into several different categories. It should be put into a short-term goal, which is 0 to 3 years, a mid-term goal, which is 3 to 7 years, and then a long-term goal, which is anything beyond 7 years. A lot of times, especially the youth, they don't think about retirement. Fun fact, the second you started legally working in the United States, retirement was already talking about you, right? So the age for Social Security, they changed the age to age 67. But when it comes to your goals, you want to know where your money is being diversified. So again, that is the follow-up that I'll be sending people to know when you're looking at your goals, how do you diversify your portfolio? The second thing that you want to do in diversifying your investments is you want to take a risk analysis. You want to take a risk analysis. What I mean by that is, you know, a lot of times, especially if you're working at a place, they might offer you a 401k, but they just give you a general option of, okay, this is when you're expected to retire. But what if you are a high risk taker, or you're a monitor, or you are a low risk? You want to know what your risk tolerance is so you can make sure that your goals are in line with that. The third thing is when you're taking a look at how do you invest your goals, I might be preaching to the choir here, but you want to make sure that you're actually talking to a licensed person, someone who is licensed to talk about it. Don't go talk to your neighbor who's a plumber. No, we got nothing against plumbers. You know, don't go talk to your neighbor or your friend who's an entrepreneur. Raise of hand here. Who here is an entrepreneur? So raise your hands if you're an entrepreneur here.
Everybody.
Everyone here is an entrepreneur. Okay.
We all have a side hustle.
All right. I love it. I love to see it. So if I can't see your lovely faces, so I don't know what faces you all making at us, but we have our faces to you, right? So I don't know who here is an entrepreneur or not. Feel free to put on your camera. Again, I'm out here in this lovely DC, so feel free to show your faces, right? But if you're an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that your money is being diversified and working in the right areas for you. Every single state has different rules and regulations. And so you want to make sure that when you sit down with a financial advisor, you know what those state laws are regarding how that money, those investments are going to impact your portfolio. Excuse me. What I mean by that, if there's rules and regulations that are in favor for entrepreneurs, right? Sit down with your accountant, find out, should you be doing a sole proprietorship, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp. Back in October, rules and regulations changed for entrepreneurs. So anyone who is a sole proprietor or an LLC, the rules and regulations went back to 2017, meaning that you don't get as many write-offs as an S Corp or C Corp. But maybe your company's too small and it doesn't make sense for you to do an S Corp or C Corp. And so you want to make sure that you sit down with your accountant. Just to wrap it up, because I think I'm close to time, right? So first and foremost, for you entrepreneurs, in terms of diversifying your portfolio, right? I'm sure you all expected me to be like, well, this is where you should be putting your money. I don't know where you should be putting your money because I don't know what your goals are. So first and foremost, write down what your goals are, right? And make sure that every single month you have a date with yourself, right? Put on some candles, ignore every single phone call, and you write down your goals and you see what your goals are. And make a budget for it. If your goals are not in line with your budget, what do you need to adjust? Okay. Second thing that you want to do is you want to take a risk assessment. You want to know what is your risk regarding your portfolio. Once you know what your risk assessment is, you can know what investment, what vehicles make sense for you to cater towards those financial goals. Third, well, I guess first, right? But third is meeting with a financial advisor and also an accountant to know what your business should be, how your business should be registered, and then where your money should be allocated. There's a lot of things that you can do individually, but it's also important to sit down with a licensed professional to make sure that your money is being placed in the right areas so you can invest in the right ways. I think that is my time for my talk. Am I right, Kay? Okay, awesome. So thanks everyone. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the sound. And again, there will be a follow-up for all entrepreneurs on this call.
Thank you so much, Mama, for joining us again. We totally understand the circumstances, and we appreciate the fact that, you know, even with all the extenuating circumstances, you were still able to join us and still give us your your thoughts on how best we should, go about dealing with our finances and our money. So thank you again. Just to do a quick recap of what Omama said before we go into the panel session, Omama has advised us again, whether you're entrepreneurs or whoever or whatever part of life you are in, that it is important for you to understand what your goal is, because again, your goal will determine how you're going to approach investing your money. And when you find out what your goal is, you need to get in touch with experts who will then help you determine what goes into what, the right vehicles, investment vehicles that fit your goal and will help you achieve your goal, and how to also manage your risks that are inherent with those those vehicles and those goals. So thank you again so much, Omama. We look forward to having you during the entrepreneurs session, and to draw again from your wealth of wealth. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again. And now we go into the panel session. And our panelists, we have a couple of questions we want to ask you. We're going to start with that, and afterwards we're going to open the floor to everyone who has a question. And just some bit of modicum before we go into it. Please, as we go through today's meetings, please let's keep our microphones on mute. We can, of course, share our videos, but let's have our microphones on mute. If we have questions, we can note it down, and then during the question session, we can use the raise your hand function or use the chat box to send in our questions, and we will do our best to take everybody's question within our allotted time so that we can have this meeting proceed in an orderly fashion. So again, everyone, thank you for understanding. Now to our panelists, thank you, Patience, and thank you, Femi, for joining us. And I'm going to be starting with Patience. Again, Patience will be focusing mostly, like we read in our bio, on the insurance aspect, while Femi would be looking more towards the financial aspect of today's conversation. So we're starting with Patience first with insurance. We all know that, life comes with risk. We can't plan for every type of risk, and hence the need to kind of find a way to transfer our risk, and that's where insurance comes in. And we're going to be starting with Patience by asking her how a journey, even as an immigrant, has influenced our understanding of insurance and investment within the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the question. Is it Oluwa? Ori?
Ore. You can call me
Oluwa.
Yes, Ore
Okay.
is fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And PG, thank you guys for the opportunity to come and talk to each and every one of you on this call tonight. Everybody that's on this call, I hope you're learning something, and I hope you are taking notes, because what we are sharing with you are knowledge that most people are not privy to out there. So thank you guys again for choosing me to be on this call. So for me, what I would do is, for my presentation, I'll focus on the business owners that are in this room, right? But before I transitioned to that, I started, originally I'm from Liberia. So I came here when I was 14, spent most of my life here, and then went to college. After college, got into the industry, really liked it, and then worked for several companies, and then decided to open my own agency. Now, the reason why I went about opening my agency was because being out in the field and also being out in the insurance, working in corporate, one of the things that I realized is, one, a lot of people were not doing our community justice by educating them the way that they should be educating them when it comes to insurance, right? So when you look at a policy for somebody who is a minority, there's this huge gap in coverage, right? Or they may not have the coverages that they need for their business overall, right? And the reason for that is because of this mindset that we as immigrants have about insurance, right? Because it's not something that we are used to in our country, right? Or we don't have the proper education for insurance. When we come to the US, we feel like, oh, this is something that I don't need, right? So now we're transitioning into the business aspect of it. And people take that mindset into business, right? So when they get into business, folks may have an accountant, people may have a lawyer, people may have all these professionals, but they don't have a proper insurance agent that is going to walk them through the risks management portion of their business insurance, right? There are so many people who go and purchase an insurance policy, right? And they never sit down to speak to their agent to review that policy to see what that policy can do for them as a business. One of the things that we see in the industry, and I've been doing this, I have about 11 years in the industry, but altogether I've had my agency for about 4 years now. I spend a lot of my time educating our people, hey, you need this coverage. If you have a company, you need to be taking a look at general liability, right? Oh, I don't need that. I don't need that right now, right? But think about it. You're trying to build all this generational wealth by working hard, starting these companies, right? Now, if something goes wrong, all it takes is one lawsuit for you to lose everything that you've been working for, right? So I always recommend to people, and people are like, oh, I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. And then I have people who have people out on the, like if they have employees, they have people out in people's homes on these job sites without proper workers' comp coverage, right? Or they don't have employment liability practices so that if you do fire somebody and they say, oh, this person, you know, fired me because of discrimination, X, Y, and Z, right? They don't have all these protections in place, right? So I spend a lot of my time trying to educate people in our community that these are all things that is important to you, to your business, and to your practice, right? Although, yes, when you get started, these things sometimes is super expensive, right? But it makes sense for you to find an agent that will sit down with you and walk you through what are the things that you need, at least within the first few years of your business. And as you're growing and scaling your business, you might want to listen to your agent. Sometimes it's not, yes, there are some agents out there that are trying to sell you more than what you need, but sometimes these are really coverages that you need to protect your business from any liability or anything that goes wrong in the marketplace. So again, what has really influenced my idea of insurance is that, hey, listen, this is something that not only can it help you generate wealth, right? It can help you protect your wealth as well. And that's the passion that I have in my industry or in my company, because if anybody gets a policy from me, we are sitting down and we're going through the reasons why you're getting these policies. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Patience, for that elucidation on the influences that insurance comes to bear on people and how they run their business and how it protects us from losses, whether imagined or non-imagined. We're gonna be taking the next question also from an immigrant perspective, because again, most of us on this call had moved from our home country to the United States, and we have that dual nature in ourselves, you know, where we're coming from and the new country where we're in, and there's a need to balance out the way we used to do things in the old place and in the new place, and trying to find the right way, you know, to do this thing so that we can maximize and experience the full benefit of the wealth that we can get even in this new country, you know, and live better lives. And that brings me to the next question to Femi. And I'm going to be asking Femi that, you know, as an immigrant, from an immigrant perspective, what financial goals or challenges do we experience most often when adapting to life in the US?
Yeah, thank you very much. I guess everybody can hear me very well. I would first like to thank MPG for organizing this. This is a very, very important session we are having. Babatunde Oreoluwa for what you've done so far, and the co-speakers, and those who are in the audience. I'd like to thank you for your time. Some are, attending from some other countries, and the time is about midnight, and they're all here today. So the question you have asked me, Oreoluwa, has to do with goals and challenges. I will start with challenges. You know, as an immigrant, everybody that comes into or goes into another country has the culture shock. There are so many things that will be so strange to you. One of the things that was strange to me when I came here was that somebody will invite you out for dinner. He's the one that invited you, and you have to pay when you go for dinner. It doesn't happen in Africa, you know. So it's like, oh, I have to pay. I mean, what does that mean? So that's just one of many things that were very strange to us. In like manner, even in our financial journey, many things are strange. And for those who put together this session, this topic particularly, I spoke to the president CEO of MPG. I said it was a well thought out topic, you know, your financial journey and how you use investment and insurance to kind of, now, by way of background, I'm an accountant, trained accountant. I'm also a banker. You know, I've worked I live in California, in the Silicon Valley area. I've been a consultant in the banking at IT, and I worked in the bank also. So, and before I now started doing insurance and investment, and the first thing I observed is that there is that lacuna of knowledge. You know, there's a big gap in knowledge. And when we come here, the first challenge, even before we start talking about that, is that, are you even a regular immigrant? You know, you come in here, some people came in with permanent residence, some have students, some have a work permit, and some, I mean, are citizens. So once you are in that category, your case is different. If you are kind of undocumented, it's a different ballgame. Now, if you are even documented, the challenge is that when you come in here, settled, I'm assuming you are settled, there are so many things that will be strange to you. The first thing you want to do as an immigrant, you want to open a bank account. You go to the bank, you are settled. They'll be asking you for social security number. They will ask you for your ID. They will ask you for your proof of address. I just came. Where will I get all this? That's the first challenge you'll be having. Then before you start talking of your goals, when you come in that way, then the first thing is, oh, how can I accumulate money? How can I increase my wealth, and so on and so forth. So those are the kind of challenges that you start with. Now you go into the bank. Yeah, you have your ID, you have your social security, you have everything. That man sitting behind the desk, his objective is to sell something to you that will benefit him. He's not bothered where you're coming from. So what does he do? He will tell you the kind of products they have. He will tell you that they have a checking account, they have a savings account, they have a cycle of deposit. All these accounts, some of them carry a lot of fees. It was when I got here that I knew that you maintain an account and they will tell you, if you don't maintain a particular amount of money in that account, they'll be charging you $15 every month. So if you put $50 there and you go home, after 3 months, they will write you that you are owing them. Another culture shock, right? Although in some other countries, they have all those, but you will just see that, and they will write you and even threaten that they want to close your account. And if you don't respond, they will close that account. And when they close your account under that circumstance, you may not get another account in another bank because your name will be in the registry. You know, so those are the kind of things, the challenges that you have when you come here. And your goal is basically you want to build wealth. But then there are so many things that you have to walk through to be able to stabilize to start with. I mean, as immigrants, there are so many things dragging us. One, as you are here, you've not settled down. Somebody's already calling you from home, asking you for money. You've not even settled down. They don't even know whether you are settled. They don't know whether you have papers. All they know is that, oh, he's gone to the UK, he's now in the US, and money should start flowing. Now, you have two challenges, trying to settle down here and trying to settle people at home. Now, so your goal is kind of diversify. You want to build a house at home, you want to build a house here, you want to buy a house there. So it's all over the place. Now, the lack of knowledge is our albatross. Then again, I just want to mention this. When you come, as an immigrant, when you come into the country, what will determine your attitude in this country is the people you mix with when you come. If you came into the country and the people you came to stay with, if they are in healthcare, they will make sure you go into healthcare. If they are cab drivers, they will make sure you end up driving cabs. Then they will just make sure. So it's a lot of challenge, and they will only let you know what they know. Anyway, they don't know more than that. So you have to struggle to kind of get out of whatever cocoon they're trying to put you. So that's the challenge that you have, and the goal basically is to develop your base when you come here, and we shall be talking more about that in the course of this conversation. Thank you, Orelua.
Thank you, Femi, for sharing with us a couple of the challenges that some of us had gone through moving into the US, you know, whether students or coming in on work visas, on whatever type of visas were coming in. And sometimes, like you said, it can be very demoralizing when you're trying to get something, but because, again, you're an immigrant, you don't have the right papers, you don't have the right license, you don't have the right approvals. It becomes an Herculean task trying to get those things sorted just because, again, I'm an immigrant, I don't have papers. So it's tough, but MPG, one of the things we learn here is not to give up and to go through and scale through. So we're going to be moving to Patience now. I'm going to be asking some more questions with respect to insurance. So now that we are in the US, what type of insurance coverage should we prioritize to protect ourselves and our family? Because, one of the things that we learned as coming into the US as immigrants is that this country owes insurance very there. I remember when I came in, we were trying to get an apartment. They're like, oh, you need to get property insurance. We need to send it to them first before they will even give us the key to the house. I was like, but I haven't even collected key. You're expecting me to pay insurance money just before you give me key. Again, insurance is a big deal in this country. So we're asking, as people coming in from different parts of the world where insurance is not so a big deal, what are those things, what are those insurance policies that we should prioritize now and for the for later when we begin to expand and grow our wealth?
Absolutely. So thanks for that question, Ori. So I'm glad you touched on that, because a lot of people, they are not aware that a lot of landlords now, actually, especially in the inner cities, right? They're making it more and more of a requirement, right, for you to get insurance so that if anything goes wrong, they themselves, they're protected, right? And this came from their lawyers, and lawyers pass it on to, to the landlords and so on and so forth. But for those of you guys that are finding yourselves out in this country, irrespective of you having a document or not, right? Once you have your driver's license and you start driving and you put a car on the road, get an auto policy, especially if you live in a state that it is a requirement for you to get an auto policy, okay? And make sure you keep your auto policy active. And another thing too that people do in this country or in other parts of the states, right, is they get what we call the state minimum, right? So every state has a minimum limit or minimum coverage that you should get on your auto policy, right? Some can be $20,000. The maximum an insurance company could pay on a policy could be $40,000, right? And then the maximum they could pay on a property damage, meaning if you hit anyone's car or if you hit anyone's house or something like that, right? It could be what, $15, right? Why would you want something like that on your policy? And I see a lot of people go into Geico, right? Because they feel like Geico is cheap, right? Geico is cheap because they give you shitty coverage, excuse my language, right? And you, because you don't have an education on what it is that they're giving you, like, oh yeah, I went to Geico, it's cheap. And because you feel like it's cheap, you're sending everybody to Geico, right? And then you have somebody who could get in an accident, and then you call the insurance company, oh, that's not covered. Oh, we don't cover that, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is prioritize getting the auto insurance. Don't neglect that, right? And make sure you have, if you do get a quote online, right? While it's great that we can do things online, if you get a quote online, pick up the phone and call somebody in the service center and say, hey, these are the coverages that I'm looking at, right? Or you can even do your research online. What's the best coverage to get in this state, X, Y, and Z state, right? Depending on the state that you're in. I personally don't recommend anybody to go below $50,000, which means the most the insurance company can pay on one single accident is $50,000 to one person, or the most they will pay in total is $100,000, right? So I don't recommend anybody going lower than that, right? If you're an individual. Now, if you have properties, let's say you own a property, right? You rent a property, right? Those coverages should be higher. You shouldn't be paying under anything below $100,000, right? Or even $250,000. Because if something happens, what happens is, let's say something happens on your auto insurance, and the liability could transfer to your home insurance, right? And when they exhaust those home insurance liability, guess what? They can garnish your wages for several years until you finish paying that. Actually, today, I'm actually in a insurance training workshop in New Jersey. My teacher was sharing a story that she had this young lady that was working for her, and she had gotten into an accident in California, right? And when she got into the accident, she didn't have enough coverage, and the accident was more than the coverage. The damages were more than the coverages that she had on her insurance policy. The court actually garnished her wages. So every time she pays her, she has to take money from out of that and send it to the court, because they had reprimanded her and she had to make sure that she paid those damages. So they garnished her wages for several years until she was finished paying off all the damages. So the implications of you not having adequate coverages is that it comes from your pocket anyways. You're trying to save money, and at the end of the day, you end up losing money anyways. So it's best for you to, you know, pay the money upfront. I do know that sometimes, especially with the market and how things are right now, the auto insurance market is crazy right now. And to be quite honest with you guys, it's hard to find any good company. If you're paying $250 for one car right now, that's the average right now, right? But my recommendation is make sure that you pay these coverages. These policies, or you keep your policies active and you have adequate coverage, because if you try to save money now, like I said, in the future, it still comes back to haunt you anyways. So I would say prioritize getting your auto policies. And then if you purchase a home, keep your home policies active, right? Because now you're not just protecting just you, you have your family, right? You have your entire family to protect now. So make sure you have enough coverages, right? And then the Femi and will touch on the life insurance portion of it when it comes to your family, right? But then once you go into starting the business, right? What I tell people is do not neglect getting a disability policy, right? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs on this call, which I'm pretty sure half of you guys that are on this call don't even have a disability policy, right? So let's say God forbid something happens to you, you get into an accident, you can't work for a week or 2 or 6 months or whatever time it is, right? How are you going to supplement your income? Right? Think about that, right? If you can't do your regular job and you can't do your side hustle, where's the money going to come from? If you apply for unemployment, it's not even enough, right? But your disability income is going to supplement that income that you should have been getting at that time. And most disability policy, they will stack on top of whatever the state is giving you, right? So make sure that you get extra disability income. I know your job offer disability, right? But get a separate disability outside of your job, okay? So that you have those, so that if anything happens to you, you can supplement your income. So I'm gonna pause here for that, and then I will let Femi take over, because I think he's gonna touch more into like the other, you know, life insurance and other things like that.
Thank you, Patience. Thank you for running us through those important coverages that we should have. And just like Patience has said, auto is a big deal to have. Your home coverage, again, because you have your family with you, home coverage is very important. Getting a disability is also very important in case something happens and you can't make money. At least there's money coming in from somewhere to sustain your livelihood, and you're not, you know, turned out in the streets because, again, you don't have any money to supplement your income. Thank you very much, Patience. And I know that.
Oh, sorry, before I go, let me just touch on one thing. Another thing too that I've realized, especially for the young women that are in this chat that could possibly look at getting pregnant at some point in your life, get a disability policy or an extra disability policy before you get pregnant, because that's actually one of the reasons why companies would not offer a disability policy for you, right? A lot of companies now, they're saying, oh, you have your state disability, and that only, like, let's say if you want to be out of work for 6 months to take care of your child, the state, it only allows you, I think, about like 12 or 13 weeks, right? But if you want extra time, right, that disability can supplement that time so you can stay home longer with your child. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Wow, I didn't know that existed. And I'm sure a lot of women on this call probably didn't know that that's available. So thank you, Patience, for that. I think that's something that the women are, you know, more interested in hearing, that, hey, before you get that pregnancy, you gotta get that disability insurance just to cover up and then give you time to nurse your child before rushing to work. Wow, that's a huge one. And that's something I'm definitely taking away from this call for myself personally. Thank you very much for pointing that out across patients. And just to come back to Femi, now that we're talking about how we can protect ourselves through the use of insurance, now how do we then, use financial products to increase our wealth? Now that we're leaving protection, how do we then grow? Are there specific investment opportunities or certain financial products, within the US that we as immigrants should be aware of that can help us, start building that investment block, that money that we really want, the building blocks of our money and of our finances?
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, that's a very, very good question, and it goes to the core of our conversation here. I mean, generally to mention, to build wealth, there are three phases. The first one is accumulate. That's when you start saving money, putting the money in your account. The next one is what we are talking about, protection and growth. You put your money somewhere. If you don't protect it, it will disappear. It's either you put in a bank that collapses or you lend to somebody who will not pay you back. So the second phase is the protection and growth. And the last phase is distribution. Distribution is when you are old, you've retired, and you need to start taking the money. And the question is, at each and every point, you want to protect the money. One, when you're accumulating, you don't want to be paying taxes at that time. When you are protecting and growing, you don't want to pay taxes. And when you are distributing also, when you are retiring, you don't want to pay taxes. However, when you come to the US as immigrants, nobody, even when we go to colleges around the world, nobody will sit you down to teach you about finance. Most of the time is when you have made a mistake, you will know. For instance, if you get into the US and you join an organization or a company, the only thing they will introduce to you is 401k. You don't know the meaning, you don't know what 401k, they will just say, do you want to join, do you want to opt in or opt out? Oh, what is opt-in? Opt-in is that if you contribute $50, we are going to add $50 for you. Oh, wonderful, you join them. Or some people feel, contribute, no, I don't want to contribute any money. I don't want to join. So people don't know what the benefits are to join or not to join. Then if you join, what they do is they will tell you, oh, we are going to match whatever you put in up to 7%. So if your salary is $10,000 per month, when they say they're going to match up to 7%, you might choose to be putting $1,000 of your salary into the 401k. For those who are not familiar with the system here, 401k is like a savings retirement plan that companies have for their employees. And in some other organizations, they have 403b, all those sort of plans. I'll come to that. So when you put the money there, they will tell you you're going to match up to 7%. If you put $1,000, which is 10% of your 10,000, they will put 700 for you, which is great. Now, that money you have put, somebody will be managing the money for you. And where would they put the money? They'll put it in the stock market. So you might put in 10,000 this year. They will add their own 700 or 7,000. You have 17,000. They put in stock market. Oh, I have 17,000. Then you wake up next month, the stock market has gone down. Your 17,000 is now 12,000 in a twinkle of an eye. In 2022, I lost about 35,000 on my 401k. 1 year. I woke up and the money was going. I'm sure some people will bear testimony to what I've just said. So now, where I'm coming to is that the kind of financial product they introduce you to is just go to the bank, open a savings account. If you go to the bank, if any bank gives you 1% as interest on your account, you are very lucky. They will give you 0.5, 0.00. If you put 100,000 in the bank in the US, if you're able to get $500 at the end of the year as interest, then they must be a very good bank. They can just put $200 for you. However, if you borrow 5,000 or 10,000 from them, 5,000 from them, the interest you'll be paying in the whole year will be more than the 5,000 you have borrowed from them. So because of that, that lack of knowledge, most of us put our money and the money cannot grow. That's what I'm saying, because you have to grow before you protect. If you're not even growing, how do you now think of protecting? So in the US, there are so many financial products that we do not know, and most people do not know. And I'll give you an example. I was in financial services, and there are so many things I didn't know until I now came out and discovered that some things I see that I didn't know. And I was just thinking, if with my knowledge and exposure, I did not know all these things, there are so many people on the street that are blind. And we have it in the US. 1 in 3 of people in the US, they have zero savings for retirement. They don't have anything at all for retirement. Now you have the 401k. There are many other products that we could latch on in trying to build our portfolio. So one of such is for people who are working in a company, you have 401k. For people who are working for non-profit or their teacher, they have 403b. We have 437 plan, 457 plan. We have a TSP, all sorts of plans. Then we have the bank account where you put the CD, your money market, you just buy all those. Then you have what they call Roth account. What is Roth account? You put your money there and they will tell you that if you put your money now, they will tax it now. So when you want to take it later, it won't be taxed again. Then we have, you can put your money in brokerage account. You can open a stock account. You can go to Robinhood, open an account and start trading. You can do mutual fund. You can do crypto, which is the in thing now. The crypto is one thing again that people will come to me, advise me on crypto. I said, I can't advise you because I don't know anything about it. Then you have real estate. That is another thing they point us in the direction. Oh, you have to put your money in real estate. We do not sit down to even understand, are we going to make money from this real estate? Sometimes you burn your fingers. If you have real estate and you end up having to, sometimes you fall short by way of when it loses market, it loses market value, So then also we have what they call index fund, municipal bond. We have a fixed index annuity, pension account, and all sorts of things that you can put your money in the US. All these things, they have their pitfalls. The one I would recommend, strongly recommend for anybody who's in the US, who's an immigrant, is what we call Index Universal Life. Index Universal Life, IUL. It's an insurance-based product that will grow your wealth. One, you don't have to pay taxes on it. Two, it's very flexible. You can use it to build college fund for your kid. You can use it for your retirement. It's an investment fund. You can use for, the patients mentioned disability. You can use that same policy for disability. You can use it if you have terminal illness, if you have chronic illness, all sorts of things you can use it for. And you can borrow from it and go and buy a house. So, if after this, anybody wants to contact me to get more information about this, I can share that with you. But that's what they call Index Universal Life. It kind of encapsulates everything we are talking about here, such that you don't have to lose money and it can make a change. And when you have money there, when you want to pass the money over to your generation, and that's why I call it generational wealth, they do not have to pay taxes. This is a very solid product that most of us did or do not know. And that's one thing I said when I was leaving the financial service, the banking industry, I did not know about it at all. But when I came out and I discovered it, I'm an advocate of that. If you want to grow your wealth, if you want to develop generational wealth, one thing I would recommend for you is what they call cash growth in an Index Universal Life account. There are a lot to say about that, but I don't think this forum is open enough for us to start discussing them one by one. But that is very key because all the things you expect, one, the account has potential for growth. You are protected against losses. It is tax deferred. The growth in the account is tax deferred. When you want to take your money, the tax deduction is free. No contribution limit. You can put any amount you want. If you want to take your money early, there's no early access penalty. If you want liquidity, you can just go there and get your money out. It compounds, and you have permanent life insurance as the base. Permanent in that if anything happens to you, if you have 401k, anything happens to you, your family will just get whatever you have put in there. In Cash Index Universal Life, if anything happens to you, even on the second day of you putting maybe 1,000 there, your family can get as much as 1.5 million. So there are so many things that we don't have time to talk about here, but I'm just saying, if you are new and you're an immigrant in the US, ask everybody, ask Omama, I'm sure she can talk more about it. Ask her, any insurance person, to explain to you. Most of us, and Patience got it right, when she said, most of us from Africa, insurance is dead. Once they say insurance, like you are going to die. There are so many things they use insurance for in the US. And unfortunately, what the government is doing in the US, all other types of insurance are very important. You have to insure your car, you have to insure your house, you have to insure your property, but you don't have to insure your life. Why? They don't care. Nobody cares. So you need to take that action. And when you have a policy, Patience also said it, you have to be reviewing the policy for adequacy. Sometimes that insurance agent sitting before you wants to make profit. He will just design anything for you for him to earn enough income, and it's gone. The day you need the policy is when they will tell you, oh, it didn't cover this, it didn't cover that, and you start crying. It's late. And you could have paid into that policy for 15 years or 20 years. So what we are saying is, you need to sit down, and patients emphasize maybe 3 or 4 times, you need to sit down with your insurance agent. No matter who did it for you, call somebody else. You can call me. I will do a review with you and tell you if that policy is adequate. If it's not, then we take steps to kind of find a way around it. I'm sure our time is running out. I have so much to say, but I will, at this point, yield back to Oreoluwa to take it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Femi. That was a bit comprehensive, and I know that a lot of us are very much intrigued and would like to learn more about this IU Health that you have said. That's the Index Universal Life, and we're very much interested in it. And again, I'm going to encourage everybody to please, after this meeting, after this call, because of time, we cannot go into every aspect of this conversation and take it, brick by brick and break it down. Please, again, connect with every of our speaker. They've shared their LinkedIn and the LinkedIn profiles on the chat. Please connect with them, reach out to them after, do your research. If you need help, they're right there, available to speak more. You can always schedule. They can find time for all of us here on this call, as long as, introduce yourself to say, hey, I met you at MPG. We had this conversation. I'm sure they will open up their DMs to talk to you about it. And please reach out to them afterwards, because again, time is against us. We cannot break these things down bit by bit. Patience, I'm going to come to you with this question. There's a question on the chat by Adewale Adebayo. And he was asking that, what are the insurance laws governing acquiring properties in the United States if you are a non-resident? What are the insurance laws governing acquiring properties in the United States if you're non-resident? Are there any insurance laws or anything we should be aware of if we want to acquire properties as non-residents?
No, as long as you have your property, as long as you purchase your house, you can get insurance on it. Because the thing is, insurance is required by the mortgage company, right? So if you're buying your property cash and you choose not to have insurance on it, I mean, I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. But the reason why most people get insurance on their homes is because it's required by the mortgage company for you to get insurance on the home. Now, since we're on that topic, one of the things that I usually recommend to people is, if you do purchase a property, right? If you buy rental property, single family property, whatever it is, right? Make sure you get mortgage life insurance, right? Mortgage life insurance protects the terms of the mortgage. So if anything happens to you during that time, right, where you're still paying the mortgage and you're the primary breadwinner in your home, right, your family can take that benefit to pay off the mortgage so that home stays in your family, right? You don't want to buy that home and then something happens to you, your family catches financial hardship, and then boom, that home, they end up losing that home, right? So and usually those are really inexpensive coverages. And especially we have a lot of young people these days that are buying properties. You're young, some mortgage companies will offer mortgage life insurance, but not everybody do, right? And mortgage life insurance is the only term product, right, that will actually give you the money back when you're finished paying off your mortgage, right? So you will get your money back because at the end of the day, you outlive the term of the mortgage and you're finished paying off your mortgage, right? So you don't need, there's no laws. As long as you've purchased the home or the property, you can get insurance on the property, okay? And one tip that I do want to leave with you guys, I know some of you guys are coming into the country undocumented, or you're not fully documented, or have documented, or whatever the situation may be. If you do end up working for somebody and you do get hurt on the job, one thing that you guys need to know is that you can actually file for workers' comp, right? Workman's comp, what workman's comp does is it protects you, it takes care of any injury at work or anything, like if you get sick from, from specific job functions and things like that, right? A lot of employer, right, they tell you, oh, you can't do this because you're not documented, blah, blah, blah. No, by the state, especially if you're in Massachusetts, I don't know other states, right? Workers' comp is usually mandated by the state. If you have employees, you're supposed to have workman's comp, right? You are obligated to get workman's comp for the people that you're getting. Now, by law, you're not supposed to hire undocumented people, right? But since we're speaking on this call and we're talking Africans to Africans, right? if you do end up working for somebody and they don't have workman's comp and something happens, you can still report it to the state. They will get in trouble, but you can still report it. You're still entitled to medical attention because you did get hurt on the job. So if you ever end up working for somebody and you get hurt, don't ever allow them to make you feel like you can't go to the hospital to seek medical attention. And another thing too, in order for you to get your medical, your workers' comp benefits, you don't need a lawyer, right? In most states, you don't need a lawyer because that is something that the state give to people that are technically working for employers. So you don't need to get a lawyer. I know there's a lot of billboards out there that's like, oh, you're hurt on the job, call me. So no, you don't need to get a lawyer. Just go to the state, right? And tell them that, hey, X, Y, and Z happened. Make sure you go to the hospital, make sure you get checked and X, Y, and Z and things like that. But you don't need to hire a lawyer because guess what the lawyer is going to do? They're going to take most of that benefit from you, right? Because of course, you need to get paid. The lawyers need to get paid first, right? So keep that in mind. For those of you guys that may be transitioning into, the workforce and things like that, keep that in mind. But I just wanted to throw in that little tip for you guys.
So quickly,
thank you so much, Patience.
I know we're at the nick of time. The question that Mr. Adebayo was asking basically is about if you're an immigrant or if you're in, outside the country and you want to buy property here, are there any laws preventing you from buying before we get to the insurance? I mean, basically, there is anti-money laundering laws and other stuff. But if you have your money and you meet those requirements, basic requirement that, okay, the money you are getting from legitimate source and not for countries that are blacklisted, I don't think there's anything stopping you from getting, just like anybody in the US, but you can't get mortgage here because you are not resident here. But if you have your money, you can buy property in the US. Thank you.
Thank you, Patience. Thank you, Femi. I know that we're right on time, but we want to crave everybody's indulgence for an extra 5 to 10 minutes just that we round up properly. Apart from the question in the chat, is there any question? We have Omama with us before she has to go to our next event. We have Patience, we have Femi right now. This is the time for you to shoot your questions at this bunch of intellectuals. Shoot your question now within the next 5 to 10 minutes so that they can answer, and then we round up and everybody can go. This is the time for you to ask your questions. You can raise your hand, unmute yourself, and then raise your hand, we'll call you to unmute yourself, and then you can, of course, show us your face while we ask the question. Okay. I don't seem to see any hands raised. I don't know if I'm missing any hands because I don't have a full view of the screen. Okay, great. Thank you everyone and for coming, for joining us again for this session. Like we said earlier, if you have questions or anything, you can please reach out to our esteemed guest of honor today, this evening, and then they can follow up with those questions and answer, through their preferred means of communicating. So thank you, everyone. Of course, thank you again, Lola. I see your comment. Great program. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. You can leave your comments, your appreciation, and all of that using the chat function. Again, thank you, Patience. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Femi, for joining us. We are very much glad to have you, teach us and share some of the skills that we wouldn't have known except we had had these conversations with you, and we thank you. I'm going to invite Babatunde now to come up and give us the closing remarks so that we can all, go on to our next appointment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Orolua, for the session. We just want to say a big very thank you to all our guest speakers, our moderators. It was really very insightful session, and I also really learned a lot because I also have some experience in insurance, so I really learned a lot of things. So we also thank the various guest speakers, Mr. Femi, Patience, and Omama for those insightful topics, and we appreciate everyone that also joined this session. Really appreciate. Please do not forget to also follow us on LinkedIn at MPG on LinkedIn. We look forward to seeing you again for subsequent events. Thank you so much, and let's have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Somebody sent me a DM asking about recordings. We would get to you about the recordings from this call so that you can re-listen to them again and then, start to break them down bit by bit. So thank you, everyone. Thank you again. And do have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ore. Really appreciate it today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lillian.
Very good facilitation. All right.
Thank you. My pleasure
you.
is to serve.
And thank you so much, Babatunde. You're still online. Thank you very much, all of you. So till next time then. All right, bye-bye.
I'm telling you, 760.
I'm sorry, what?
No, sorry, no, you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciated today's event. It went so smoothly. All right. Till next time now. Bye-bye, Ore.